In the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. So we are in the book of Daniel, chapter 6, right? Daniel, chapter 6. And each time I want to tell you something, but I keep forgetting about it. I would like to just to go through the books of the Old Testament very quickly. Do you know how many books in the Old Testament? Any idea? Sorry? You are very close. It's 39 books. So if you open any Bible, you're going to find the Old Testament 39 books. The Orthodox Bible, which is the Bible on like Coptic reader, for instance, you see it 46 books. So 7 extra books, okay, which we call them the 7 deuterocanonical books, which Verena, I cannot see you. Come here, guys, to the front. So I need to see you. Yusab, come here. Yeah, in front of me. Yeah. So because this is something maybe may sound like weird to you, but it's important to know. The Orthodox Bible, you find 46 books in the Old Testament. Any other Bible, like King James and New King James, you find it 39 books. The Orthodox Church recognized 7 extra books. We call them 7 deuterocanonical books. Okay? Part of the 7 books is the prayer of Daniel, which is inserted in the book of Daniel. Meaning, when you read the book of Daniel from the Coptic reader, from the Orthodox Bible, you find it different from the book of Daniel in any other Bible. You find a block of verses inserted, which is the prayer of Daniel. I think it was, I'm not sure which chapter, but maybe chapter 4, maybe, I'm not sure. This is the prayer of Daniel, which is found in the 7 extra books that the Orthodox churches recognized or canonized them and added them to the Bible. Okay? This is a very important piece of information that you guys need to know because you are Bible scholars now, right? Yeah. We talked about how many books in the Old Testament. Let's talk about the New Testament. How many books in the New Testament? This is easy. You should know that. How many books in the New Testament? Let's count them together. How many books in the Gospel? 4. St. Matthew, St. Mark, St. Luke, St. John. After the 4 books of the Gospel comes what? The book of Acts. So how many books we have? 5. After the book of Acts, what do we have? The Pauline epistles, which starts with the epistle to the Romans. How many epistles we have? How many epistles did St. Paul write?
14.
14, exactly. So how many books do we have so far? 4,
27.
1, 5,
27.
Yeah, but sentiment, you're jumping. So far we have 19, right? 4 books of the Gospel, 1 book of Acts, 5 plus 14, then 19. After the Pauline epistles comes what? Catholic epistles. How many Catholic epistles? How many? 7. Okay? So 19 plus 7, 26. And the last book, the book of Revelation. How many books in the New Testament? 27. Very, very important to know. People come here on Monday night to attend the Bible study, must M-U-S-T, capital letters, must know this piece of information. 27 books in the New Testament. 4 plus 1, Book of Acts, 14 epistles, and 7 Catholic epistles. 7 Catholic epistles. St. James wrote 1 epistle, right? St. Peter wrote 2 epistles. St. John wrote 3 epistles. And St. Jude wrote 1 epistle. 1, 2, 3, 1. St. James, 1. St. Peter, 2. St. John, St. Jude, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1 plus 2 equals 3 plus 3 equals 6 plus 1, 7 epistles. سهلة؟ سهلة بقى الحكاية. Easy stuff. Right? 1, 2, 3, 1. 7 epistles. 27 books in the New Testament. Let's go back to the book of Daniel, chapter 6. I know we stopped at verse 10, but I'm sure we all forgot probably what happened. So we're going to go very quickly on these 10 verses. So Sam will read them, and I will stop you, Sam, in the middle, or each time I want to stop you. So please go ahead.
It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps, to be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 governors, of whom Daniel was one, and that the satraps might give account to them, so that the king would suffer no loss. Then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and satraps, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king gave thought to setting him over the whole realm. So the governors and the satraps sought to find some charge against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find no charge or fault, because he was faithful, nor was there any error or fault found in him.
Okay, so as you remember, the King Darius, which is the first king of the Persian Empire, the first one, because in chapter 5, if you remember, was the last king of the Babylonian Empire. Okay, that was the last one. The guy who, like, if you remember, the guy who had his drinks of the gold of the temple, and he saw what? Remember? Saw a hand writing on the wall, and got disturbed. And Daniel told him, to make the long story short, Daniel told him, this is the end of your kingdom, and he got killed in the same night. Then came the empire, the Persian Empire, and the first king was King Darius. King Darius, when he came, he heard about Daniel. He heard from the people there that Daniel is a very wise man. And by the way, Daniel at this time was a very old man. We're talking probably 90 years old. Okay? So Daniel was old at this time. So Darius came, and he was a very wise man. He divided the empire, the huge kingdom, into 120 pieces and put governors on each piece, 1 governor on each piece. And on top of the 120 governors, he put 3 people to oversee the whole operation. Okay, one of the 3 top people was Daniel. And Daniel did very well, very good, was very smart, very wise, very honest to God and to the king. So the king started to think, why don't I make Daniel on top of the 3? He will bring somebody else to replace Daniel, and will take Daniel to be on top of the 3. So basically, Daniel will be number 2 in the kingdom. Number 2 in the kingdom. Obviously, all the 120 governors, they were like not pleased about that, because Daniel, at the end of the day, Daniel was what? Remember? Daniel was a slave. Daniel is not originally a Babylonian or Persian. No. He was a slave brought from Israel during the time of King Nebuchadnezzar, who brought the Israelites as slaves. So at the end of the day, how you put a slave, servant, on top of everybody else? So they got very jealous from him, and they envied him, and they came up with a plan. The plan was to destroy Daniel. That's the plan. That's the main goal for them. Okay? So in verse 4, one more time, please, Sam.
So the governors and satraps sought to find some charge against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find no charge or fault, because he was faithful, nor was there any error or fault found in him.
Yeah, they tried to catch any mistake of Daniel. They couldn't find anything. See, and this is something very funny. You see it now in politicians, for instance. If you find, if you try to find, it's not really, it's so easy to catch a mistake of a president, right? Look what's happening with Trump, for instance. How many charges they try to get him on. Even they forgot about, or they left Trump, now they're working on Biden and his son. And I mean, any politician, it's easy to catch a mistake, easy, because they are full of mistakes. And anyone in any high position, you can catch something. Look what's happening now for the premier here about the green belt and what happened there. So it's not a problem to find or to catch a mistake or a problem or a weakness of anyone in a high position. When they came to Daniel, they couldn't find anything. The only thing they can catch him on is what? His faith. This is the only thing. He does not worship our idols. He worships his own God. He does not follow our God. And by the way, the Persian Empire was very liberal in terms of religion. Darius the king did not have any problem that anyone worship any god he wants. That's not an issue. As long as you do your job, you're good in what you're doing, you are free to worship whoever God you want to worship. So that was not an issue. So let's see how they're going to catch him. Verse 5.
Then these men said, we shall not find any charge against this Daniel unless we find it against him concerning the law of his God. So these governors and satraps thronged before the king and said thus to him, King Darius live forever. All the governors of the kingdom, the administrators and satraps, the counselors and advisors have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whoever petitions any god or man for 30 days except you, O king, shall be cast in the den of lions.
Yeah, so they came up with this plan here. And see what happens here. They came to the king and told him all the governors of the kingdom, the administrators, the satraps, the counselors, the advisors, all, see the word all, we came together and we put a plan that for 30 days, no one can pray or ask anyone for anything except to you, O king. Okay? Number one, see the exaggeration. All. Who said all of them did that? Who said that? How do you know? And sometimes we do the same mistake or the same problem. As we said last week, we go to Abuna, for instance, and we tell him, all the people, they say the liturgy is too long. No, it's not all the people. Maybe not me, only me, and somebody else, 2 or 3. So sometimes when we deliver a message, we tend to make it that's everybody, all people, they want that. No. So be careful when you deliver such a message, or when you hear such a message. Someone comes to you and tell you, everybody says about you so and so. Everybody thinks of you that you are so and so. Tell him, who is everybody? I want to know those who told you that. Give me a few names. Don't fall into this trap right away. Don't take it like this. Because sometimes we assume that's absolute right. Everybody said that about me? No. Just think about it. What do you mean, everybody? So anyway, and look at the weakness of this king here. This king is very wise, very, as I said, very strong, very, very wise, but he has a little weakness, which is he likes people to what? To glorify him. They came to him and said, we want to make you king as God for only 30 days. For only 30 days. Verse 8, please.
Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, so that it cannot be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which does not alter. Therefore, King Darius signed the written decree. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went home, and in his upper room, with his windows open towards Jerusalem, he knelt down on his knees 3 times that day, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as was his custom since early days.
Yeah. So they came to the king with the decree and told him that, and they said to him, now this is what's going to happen for 30 days, king, and anyone will not follow this order, anyone will not follow this order will be cast into the den of lions. Okay? So basically he will die. He should be killed. And they came to him with the decree written and told him, all what you have to do, O king, just sign it. And again, with all the wisdom of this king has, for some unknown reason to me, I'm wondering that he didn't think about it. And it showed that he had this kind of weakness. He liked, people will make me God for 30 days. Yeah, where do I have to sign to get this happening? And he signed without thinking about it. Sometimes we do the same mistake. So careful, guys. Careful with your signatures, with your commitment. Careful. Like, when I think about things in my life, and some decisions that I did not really think about, I did not take the time to carefully think about it, I regret it. Why did I do that? I should not have signed this piece of paper, signed this, purchase or whatever. I should have thought about it. So when it comes to any decision in life, take your time. Especially when someone comes to you and gives you all kind of, you are a great man. You are such a good guy. You are so good. Just ask, why did he say that? What's behind this? Yeah? What is the catch? What's the fine lines, between the fine prints? So think about it. Wisdom is something so great. And God said, if you need wisdom, ask God and he will give you. Anyway, the king, without thinking about it, he liked what he said and signed the decree. And it says here very clearly that once you signed, you cannot edit or alter this decision. It's a done deal. No one can change it. Even the king himself, if he wants to change it, he cannot change it. In verse 9, therefore King Darius signed the written decree. And we talked about last week, that's where we stopped, when Daniel knew that he opened the window and prayed, so anyone can see him. And I remember we said, what do you expect when Daniel heard this? What should he do? And remember, some of you said, he should have, for 30 days, he will still pray, but in secret. In 30 days, he should pray like, anywhere else, but he made it very public. He opened the window. And actually, I was listening to one of the fathers, one of the sermons. He said, probably Daniel used to pray in his room and his window was closed every day. But this specific day, when he heard about this order, he meant to go to his room and open the window so everybody will see him. Everybody will see him. And yes, our Lord Jesus Christ said, when you pray, go to your room, go to your inner room and close your door and pray to your Father in heaven, and your Father in heaven will see you secretly. Yes, he said that. God said that. However, in certain situations, we need to declare our faith very clearly, as we talked about that last time. We have to say, no, I cannot do that. Why you are not eating? Because I'm fasting. Because we hear it from a lot of other religions, people, we know in certain time of the year they fast and they say, oh no, I can't eat because I'm fasting. Why don't we do the same thing? If we are in a party or anything and they offer us certain kind of food that we cannot eat, well, I'm sorry, we can't. You guys go ahead, but I will only take some salad. Why are you not eating? Because I'm fasting now. This is a time of fasting in our church. So sometimes we have to declare our faith very clearly. Daniel opened the window and wanted everybody to see him praying. So what happened, Sam?
Before his God. And they went before the king and spoke concerning the king's decree. Have you not signed a decree that every man who petitions any god or man within 30 days, except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not alter. So they answered and said before the king, that Daniel, who is one of the captives from Judah, does not show due regard for you, O king, or for the decree that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day.
Okay. So apparently there was like spies, because again, the plan was what? To catch Daniel. They put this plan for 30 days, knowingly very well that Daniel will never stop praying for 30 days. They didn't care about anything else or anybody else. So they put spies to watch Daniel. And it happened according to their plan. These men assembled and found Daniel praying. They were watching him. Found Daniel praying, making supplication before his God. Then they went to the king and reminded him, told him, remember, you signed a decree that anyone will ask or pray for anybody else except you, O king, will be put in the den of lions. The king answered and said, the thing is true according to the law of Medes and Persians, which does not alter. The king said, yes, it is true, I signed, and no one can change that. So they answered and said to him before the king, that Daniel, who is one of the captives, see, not that Daniel, that he's one of the 3 top people in your kingdom. No, they didn't say that. See the hate in the language. That Daniel, the slave that you brought him, he's one of the captives from Judah, not that one of the top 3, okay? Does not show due regard for you, O king. No. Daniel used to respect Darius so much, used to love him so much. He was so honest to him. Daniel didn't do anything to contradict that. He was praying did not show due regard for you, O king, or for the decree that you have signed, but makes his petitions 3 times a day. And the king, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself. What does that mean? What does that mean? You tell me, guys. The king, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself. What does that mean?
He realized his mistake.
Sorry?
He realized his mistake.
Absolutely, yes. Displeased, he realized his mistake, and he realized the plan, the trap that they put him in. Not that he was displeased with Daniel, he was displeased with himself. Why did I do that to my friend Daniel? It's very clear here in the Bible. He was displeased with himself and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver, going down of the sun to deliver him. So he spent all day trying to find a way to get Daniel out of this trap, out of this problem. He probably called lawyers, right?
Very bad ones.
Huh?
Very bad ones.
Yeah, what else? He called all kinds of lawyers. What can I do? Find me any hole in the law that we can get Daniel out of this. Okay, but he couldn't. He couldn't. See, that king of the great empire of the world, the king of kings at that time, King Darius, because the Persian empire was controlling the entire world at that time. And Darius was the king. See, sometimes we rely on people and we think I know this guy very well. I know this person very well and he can do this for me. Darius himself could not get out of this problem. Spent all day, labored. See, the Bible says, and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him, trying to find anything. Then I will continue, Sam, on your behalf. Then these men approached the king and said to the king, "Know, O king, that it is the law of Medes and Persians that no decree or statute which the king establishes may be changed." Those people came back to the king. They started to realize that the king is trying to get Daniel out of it. So they gathered around him and told him, "Listen, king, you signed. You signed. And you know the law. No one can ever edit the decree, because this is the law of the Medes and the Persians, that no decree or statute which the king establishes may be changed." They're reminding the king, you cannot do anything. So the king gave the command, and they brought Daniel and cast him in the den of lions. And listen to this. Listen to this part here. In verse 16, by the way. But the king spoke, saying to Daniel, "Your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you." Darius is telling Daniel on his way to the tomb. The den of lions is the tomb. Daniel is going to die there. He's telling him, "Your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you." The king here is not telling Daniel, "Your God, I hope your God will deliver you." He should have said, "I hope your God that you do all of this for him. Hopefully he will deliver." He didn't say that. The king, and this shows very clear that the king had 100% faith that God will deliver Daniel. He didn't have any doubts. He said, "Your God will deliver you. I can't." He's telling Daniel, "I can't. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, I can't. But your God will deliver you." Then a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the signets. Is that how you pronounce it? Huh?
Yeah.
Signets of his lords, that the purpose concerning Daniel might not be changed. Who did that before or after? Sorry. Huh? Maria. Huh? Exactly. Tell us what happened. Yeah.
There was, I think, rumors that the disciples would come at night and free him and take his body away. And he sealed it, put his stamp on it, and then took guard.
Thank you. Exactly. Look at the similarity here. Our Lord Jesus Christ, when he died on the cross, as Maria said, they put him in the tomb, and they put a huge stone on the tomb, and the king and the governor put what? His stamp on the stone. Same thing happened here. See in verse 17, the stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den. Remove the word den and put tomb. Okay, for our Lord Jesus Christ. And the king, remove the king and put Pontius Pilate, sealed it with his own signet ring and with the signets of his Lord, that the purpose concerning Daniel might not be changed. Now the king, let's see what happened to the king. Now the king went to his palace and spent the night fasting, and no musicians were brought before him. Also his sleep went from him. The king went to the palace very sad for his friend Daniel. Then, like, as you can see at the beginning of the chapter, that Darius loved Daniel. He wanted to put him, remember, on top of the three. He wanted to make him number two in the kingdom. He went, and you see the lifestyle of the kings. They used to bring him, before he sleeps, they used to bring him what? Musicians. Not to put some music on the iPhone. No. A band will come to make him, relax so he can sleep. And also he will have a nice meal. Even in Arabic it says حينئذ مضى الملك إلى قصره وبات صائما ولم يؤت قدامه بسراريه وطار عنه نومه. يعني it means that the king went to the palace and slept without having a dinner, and they didn't bring him women or girls or anything as he used to do every night. In English, they put it in a very nice way, musicians. No, but like the king, to go to his sleep, he has to be very happy with everything. This night or that night, he went without anything. He didn't even have anything to eat, to show how much Darius was sad for losing Daniel, or thinking of. Yes, he had that belief that Daniel, God will save him, but he had some doubts in his heart. Those are lions, for God's sake. I mean, they're gonna eat him. I mean, with all the faith he had, but he had also some doubts. In verse 19, then the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste to the den of lions. I want you to imagine the king woke up very early in the morning, left the palace, and went to the den of lions. The den of lions, I'm sure it was not in the palace, because it's not a very nice thing to put in a palace. I'm sure it was out somewhere in the city. So he went very early in the morning, in the dark, to the tomb. Who went very early in the morning to the tomb? Huh? The Marys, exactly. The Marys, they went very early in the tomb. See the similarities here. So he went very early to the tomb, to the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried out with a lamenting voice to Daniel. Lamenting voice. What does it mean, lamenting? Huh? What does it mean? Crying? Huh? What? Sorry?
Cry.
Like what?
Where is Daniel? Like that.
Yeah. With a lamenting voice, like in sadness, I'm sure he didn't expect, when he asked Darius, he didn't expect an answer back from the tomb. Imagine if you go to a tomb, a person that was buried yesterday, and you go on the next day and you call him. Sometimes people do that, out of love. They miss the person and everything, but they do not expect, and they talk to the person in the tomb, but they don't expect that the person will what? Will reply back, right? They don't, like, no one expects that. And Darius did the same thing. He didn't expect that he would hear a voice coming back from the den of lions, or from the tomb. And when he came to the den, he cried out with a lamenting voice to Daniel. The king spoke, saying to Daniel, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you are serving continually, been able to deliver you from the lions? If anyone was watching the king, he would have thought that the king, something happened to his mind, right? He's talking to a dead person and telling him that Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions? Then here's a huge surprise. Remember, guys, we know the story, but imagine if we do not know the story or the end of it. Okay? Like Darius. So then Daniel said to the king, O king, live forever. O king, live forever. This is the greeting that they used to tell the king. O king, live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth, so that they have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him, and also, O king, I have done no wrong before you. What a great surprise. Daniel answered and said, my God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth, so that they have not hurt me, because I'm innocent before God and before you, O king. Now the king was exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no injury whatsoever found on him, because he believed in his God. I wonder what happened during that night. Daniel said, my God has sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth. Did Daniel see an angel came from heaven and did that? We don't know. We don't know what happened during that night. How on earth a person, a human being, surrounded by lions, spends the whole night? What, like, did the lion try to jump on Daniel and the last second the lion came back? I have no idea. Did really God send an angel? And he said, my God sent his angel, but did he send an angel, or Daniel thought of that or believed that? Apparently the lions were like Daniel was standing and the lions around him, and they're like dogs, like pets. Just came and sat beside him. Tried to go to the zoo and the lion in a cage. I will be there. Right? And Daniel standing. What happened? How did this? What happened during that night? Unfortunately, Daniel didn't tell us. I don't know why he didn't say. I didn't tell us, but he didn't. But the bottom line, Daniel came out with no injury. It means that the lion even didn't make a scratch to him. Remember in chapter 3, the 3 young youth, they came out of the fire. Remember how did they come out? Their clothes, they didn't have the smell of fire. Like there is no smell of fire on their clothes. You know, when we do fire camp, and we put the wood, and if you stay around the fire, you smell it. You smell it for the next day in your jacket, right? They came out of the fire, nothing happened to them, not even the smell of fire on them. Same thing happened to Daniel here. No injury, whatever was found on him, because he believed in his God. And the king gave the command, and they brought those men. Now, according to the decree of the king, the decree has been fulfilled. The decree did not say that the person that he will be casted in the den of lions must die. It didn't say that. It says that whoever disobeys the king will be casted in the den of lions. Okay? Whether he dies or not, that's a different story. So the decree has been fulfilled. So he said, Daniel is out. Bring me those people. In verse 24, and the king gave the command, and they brought those men who had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions overpowered them and broke all their bones in pieces before they ever came to the bottom of the den. Because someone might say, maybe those lions were not hungry. That's why they didn't eat Daniel, right? Maybe someone will think that way. Those lions are full. They don't, when the lion is full, he doesn't do any harm to you. But look what happened here. Those are the same lions. Those are the same pieces of lions. And they brought those people with their kids, with their wives. It says here, the Bible says that even when they were bringing those people down, the lions did not wait till they come all the way to the floor. They ate them before they reached the floor. They crushed their bones, all their bones in pieces before they ever came to the bottom of the den. The same line. Same thing. Verse 25, then King Darius wrote to all the people, all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell on all the earth. Peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom, men must tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. Okay? For he is the living God and steadfast forever. His kingdom is the one which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall endure to the end. He delivers and rescues, and he works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth, who has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. The king, at the end, he had to issue another decree to tell all people in his empire that the God of Daniel, is the real God, that you must worship and fear. And God likes to be named by his people. Remember when God appeared to Moses, okay, in the burning bush, and Moses asked him, who are you? God told him what? I'm the God of Abraham, your father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God likes to be named by his people. That's why when we do Tamgid, for instance, for any saint, at the end of the hymn we say what? The God of Saint Mina, the God of Saint Mary, right? Because God likes to be named by his people. In the Old Testament, what is the name of God? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What is the name of God now for us in the New Testament? Our Lord God and Savior, Jesus Christ. Our Lord God and Savior. See how we say it in the church, by the way? When we say the name of our God, the name, when Abuna says, that's how the church teaches us. When we say the name of God, we say what? Our God, Lord, and Savior, Jesus Christ. All of that to say the name. Because sometimes we say, Jesus. Jesus. It's not someone that we joke with. But in the church, look at any prayer in the Agpeya or Divine, our Lord God and Savior, Jesus Christ. That we may be worthy to call you and to pray, our Father who art in heaven. All of that to reach the name of God. God of Daniel. Glory be to God forever and ever. Amen. Who has any question or comment for me? Huh? Yeah, but Abuna is not here, so we can go early. Don't tell him.
Thank you, Uncle.
Oh, thank you. You have any? Yes, sir.
So after the king wrote to his nation, is it to be presumed that he took down false worship and false idols and the temples?
I don't know. It's a good question. We don't know what happened physically according to this decree. But remember something, King Cyrus that mentioned here is the last part. He's the one who will give the option to the Jews if they want to go back. And that's when the Jews will start going back to their homeland by the first leaders of Babel, then Ezra, then Nehemiah. So,
does Nehemiah rebuild Israel?
Rebuild the wall of Israel. Yeah, yeah. So what happened physically in the kingdom? Did he demolish the idols? I don't know. Yeah. But remember, Darius, as I said, he was kind of giving the religious freedom to everyone. So he said, this is the real God. You should fear him. You should worship him. We don't know if he put it as an order or not. Yeah. Yes.
So the new decree that the king made, what I'm assuming was before the 30 days. So that law was changed. So why didn't you just do it from the beginning?
What law changed?
The new decree that everyone's praying to, like, is God.
Yeah.
So if the law couldn't be changed within the 30 days, he just made a new law to like override it, or?
No, he did not. He did not do it. He kept it. He put Daniel in the den of lions. Okay. He fulfilled the decree till the end. Yeah. Now he can make another one, a new one, which he did. To worship the God of Daniel. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. The whole thing was a setup to get rid of that. He realized that. He realized that. Can we go home? Please? So let's go. Let's stand up and pray.